I just, opened up to my auntie one day and I told her, I have to get this out. I can't keep bottling it in.
Demita Goings has quite the story to tell, and one that's not easy for her to talk about.
I deactivated Facebook for a while. I was so humiliated.
But now the Rapid City mom is opening up with the hope her story will help someone else. It all begins in this quiet Sioux Falls neighborhood where Goings had found a house on Craigslist to rent. Everything about it was perfect, including its proximity to Sanford Children's Hospital, where Demita's son could easily receive treatment for an illness.
We used to go to Colorado, and that was just too much.
The promise, pay a deposit, first month's rent, and it's a done deal. But
we started going to send the money, and I just had this bad feeling.
$950 later, she got the lease.
I'll make sure you get the keys tomorrow morning. Then I said, thank you.
But the keys never came. And suddenly, the seller was gone, as was about $2,500 in Demita's rent and moving expenses.
We gave up everything in Rapid City, our house, our jobs.
People would be astounded to know that just the number of scams are going on at any given time.
Jesse Schmidt at the Better Business Bureau would know. She gets scam complaints year-round.
You are the grand prize winner of $1.2 million.
Are you serious?
A professional scammer will make you question your judgment, even instill fear. But then they offer a quick solution.
And so they're saying, there's a fine attached with that, and you can pay that fine right now.
They take your money and disappear. So where do these scammers live? Jesse says most of them don't live here in Sioux Falls. They don't live in South Dakota. In fact, many of them don't even live in the United States. They're located on the other side of the world in places like Europe. And South Dakota Attorney General Marty Jackley says that can make it tough to track criminals down. He says scamming crimes grew in South Dakota by 1% last year, and so the state has been fighting back in other ways too, with tougher laws.
So now if the scammers are taking more than $1,000 from South Dakotans, it becomes a felony.
7 investigators and an attorney in the AG's office focus solely on scams, and they're waiting for your questions.
That's what your Attorney General's Consumer Division is for, to answer those questions. Go to our website, call our 1-800 number.
There's also AARP's Fraud Watch Network.
We provide this free of charge for anyone. You do not have to be an AARP member. You do not have to be over 50.
Bob Stevens, a volunteer with the program, has been spending his retirement educating himself about scams in the hopes of helping others. And he's learned a thing or two along the way.
They're good. That's their living. That's how they're making their money.
And in the end, that's what happened to Demita. But now she's moving past it.
I still hurt. I want to cry, but I just turn those tears to strength now.
And if there's anything to take away from her story, it's this simple thought.
Watch out for people. They steal your dreams. They might be gone forever, or you're going to live with the guilt. But it's not your fault.
Now, after taking some time to get back on her feet, Demita is hoping to move to Sioux Falls this summer. We mentioned a lot of organizations that have a lot of good resources, and if you missed any of them, we've got links for you on KDLT.com. How do you describe the excitement leading up to a trip to the state football tournament?
It's loud.
Crazy. Everybody's been cheering and yelling, saying, go, let's fight and win.
And that's exactly the atmosphere that filled the air at Stanley Boyd High School today.
I don't know, it was cool to see everybody with the school spirit.
Laura Bauer and the pep team put this celebration together. There were signs, songs, even some advice from past players who've been on the state turf.
The locker room, the atmosphere, being at Camp Randall, those are the memories that'll always stay with you.
It's been more than a decade since the team went to state. The last time was in 1996. Ronnie Ponick doesn't remember that tournament.
I was born in 96.
But will remember this one for the rest of his life.
Especially growing up as a little kid, just dreaming to make it to the big stage, and it's finally here.
Everywhere you go around town, you'll see signs rooting on the Orioles. Even at the grocery store, everyone's been talking about the big day.
People are very happy about us going. It's been a while.
Russ Judnick's son played in the championship game back in 1991.
They did a great job. I just hope they can do it again tomorrow.
Out on the practice field, the team is spending one last night under the lights, prepping for the big day.
We're excited for this opportunity. The guys are really focused on what they have to do tomorrow and hopefully come out and play our best football.
Standing tall, knowing their town is behind them.
Community coming together is really a big deal to us. I mean, it means a whole lot to us because they're really rooting for us on the other end as well as us, so we're doing it for them too.
Now, the Stanley Boyd football players are still here in town tonight. They're going to be leaving for the state tournament tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. In Stanley, Kevin Hurd, WEAU 13 News. Over the past 2 years, the Confluence Project has become part of our local vocabulary. And on April 1st, the spring primary, words turned to action. Both an Eau Claire City referendum and an Eau Claire County referendum could have a major impact on the future of the Confluence project. We'll talk more about the questions you'll see at the polls in just a few moments, but first, let's get some context. Let's talk about how this project came to be, what it includes, and most importantly, how much it's expected to cost. Conversations about the project started in 2006 and 2007 with the Clear Vision Eau Claire project. Project members interviewed hundreds of people asking what the city was missing.
And it became very apparent that community events facilities was a major need. We needed some new arts facilities. We need a convention space.
After 5 years of discussion, in 2012, the Confluence project was announced. Put simply, it's a near $80 million project that would bring a new community arts center, public plaza, and a mixed-use building that would include retail space and student housing to downtown Eau Claire. The idea is to use public and private money to build something that benefits the university and the Chippewa Valley in one big project. The UW system, which is part of the state, as well as the county and city, have all pledged money toward the project. But all of them have strict conditions that have to first be met before anybody sees a check. The UW Board of Regents in 2012 approved putting $25 million toward the project. But before anybody sees that money, there has to be a showing of local support. That money also has to make it into the state budget. Eau Claire County has pledged $3.5 million. But before that money is spent, the state needs to commit to helping with funding the project. Eau Claire County voters will also need to approve spending those dollars on the Confluence project through a referendum this spring. A referendum puts ideas being considered by lawmakers in front of voters. Here's the question that will be on the ballot. It asks if the county should put $3.5 million toward the project. It's a simple yes or no vote. Eau Claire County Board Chairman Greg Moore.
It's approximately $5.92 a year for 10 years on a $100,000 home.
And then there's the city. It has pledged $5 million of your tax dollars toward the Community Arts Center. But like the county, nobody sees city dollars until there is state support. There will also be a city referendum too, though it's not as straightforward as Eau Claire County. Here's how it will work. Voters will be asked if they support creating a new city ordinance. It would require a referendum anytime the city contributes more than $1 million to a building project related to the arts, a law that could have an impact beyond the Confluence project. Eau Claire City Attorney Steve Nick.
Any project in the future that deals with capital art project of over $1 million, then that would need to go to the voters instead of being approved by City Council as other capital projects are.
If the April 1st referendum passes, it means there will be a second referendum on the Confluence project itself. Eau Claire City Manager Russ Van Gumpel.
So if it's no, then we leave the policy in place. Again, it's really a change of how we've conduct and go through our approval process on capital projects dealing with the arts.
The referendum was brought on by a group called the Confluence Referendum Committee. It collected more than the 3,600 signatures needed to get a question on the spring ballot. Chairman Mike Bollinger sees it as a way to give taxpayers a voice. Here's the bottom line. The county referendum is simply asking whether $3.5 million in your tax dollars should go toward the Performing Arts Center. A yes vote means the county could kick in the money. A no vote means that it won't spend that money. The city referendum is a little more complicated. A yes vote means from here on out, the voters will decide whether the city would spend $1 million or more on an arts project. That could put the Confluence project in jeopardy. A no vote means the city council continues to decide how to spend that money. That could keep the Confluence project on the table. You'll have the opportunity to make those decisions on April 1st. Kevin Hurd, WEAU 13 News.